Good morning, guys. Welcome to Friday, April the 12th, 2024. Today is a weekend, so we are on our weekend schedule and we are doing Open Talk Bible Talk. This morning, I want to talk to you about how you're asking. How are you asking for things from your Father? How are you asking for things from the Almighty? When you pray, are you praying with a loving, giving, welcoming, receiving heart? Or are you just, the Bible tells us to go boldly to the throne. It doesn't say go emotionally. It doesn't say go begging. It doesn't say go infuriated. It doesn't say go indignant. And it doesn't say go as though thou owest me. Because he owest you nothing. Okay? So, how are you going? How are you asking? Are you asking with faith, believing that ye haveth received? Or are you going, waiting to receive with no faith at all? Just waiting until you see what you've asked for. Are you asking yet not giving? That's a big, big thing. Are you asking for something, wondering why you're not receiving anything, and then blaming God for your lack thereof? Because let me tell you something. First off, you have to have a point of contact for God to bless. And therein lies your tithe and offering. If you're not tithing anywhere, then how can God bless you? Because the Bible tells us that when we give, to expect 30, 60, 100 return. So, how can you get 100-fold return on something you haven't given? Because as it stands, if you are not tithing, if you are not offering, if you are not giving, presenting 10% of what you have to the Lord, then how can He give you a return? Return on what? Because so far, you're getting what you're paying. You give 0% and you're getting 100% of 0% in return. So let that sink in for a minute. If you are giving nothing and you are offering nothing, then you are getting in return what you are giving. Now, are you willing to learn to receive? Now, here's another thing. Are you willing to learn to receive? Because what's the point in God giving you something that you've prayed for or may not have prayed for, and yet you do not recognize who the giver is, who the source is? See, it's funny, we as human beings, when we do something for someone, we it's almost expected that we get a thank you. Unless you do something anonymously, which is rarely done, you expect a thank you. You kind of indignantly feel entitled. So when God does something for you, He is righteously entitled to acknowledgement and thank you for what He has done. And if you are not able to recognize what He has done because you spend too much time complaining, He's not going to give you any more. Because you have yet to learn how to receive the little. So if you don't know how to receive the much, you're not getting it. It's just not happening. Are you willing to do or go where God would say go or do what he says do? Because if you don't, again, and it falls under receiving, if you don't know how to receive, you're never going to get anything from God. And that's even if you can tithe and offer, you can sow your best seed, but if you don't know how to receive it, you're never going to receive it, because he can have it stretched out for you all day long. But if by faith you have not received, then you will not receive. He can't force you to take it. He can't throw it at you. Well, he probably could, but he's not going to throw it at you. So if ye are unwilling by faith to acknowledge that ye have received, then ye will not receive. So those are some things you need to take into consideration, serious consideration, when you are asking for things. You need to know how to ask, what to ask. What are you asking? Is what you're asking even in line with what he would have for you? Because if you're asking for your neighbor to drop dead, that's not going to happen. God is not your mafia hitman. He's not going to off your neighbor for you. So you have to make sure that what you're asking is in line with righteousness. You have to recognize righteousness. You have to recognize your need to sow, which is to tithe. You have to recognize good soil when you're doing that, because if you plant your seed, good morning, if you plant your seed in clay, it's going to suffocate out. It will not. So if you're giving to a homeless person, that's not tithe and offering. Now, God did tell us that if we feed the homeless, so we have fed him. But he did not say, do that in place of tithing. So you can do both. But, love you. So when you are giving to expect a return from God, then you have to give unto God. Now, at the same time, he did say, when you do for someone, he will do that for you. So if you give unto the homeless, he will give unto you with the same heart, but it is not going to be the same as you giving directly unto him, because you can't give to someone in a roundabout way of giving to him. You have to give directly to him. So do both, because that is what you're called to do, and do it with expectancy. When you give unto the homeless, you expect them to take what you give them and prosper with it. When you give unto God, you expect you to prosper with it. So knowing how to ask and knowing how to receive go hand in hand, but so does knowing how to give. If you don't know how to give, then you will never know how to receive. Because if one cannot give, how can they receive? How can you expect someone to constantly give you if you don't know how to constantly give? All right, so asking, giving, receiving, point of contact. This is today's lesson. Today's wisdom verse is Psalms 103, verses 2 and 3. Let all that I promise the Lord, may I never forget the good things he has done for me. He forgives all my sins and heals my disease. Oh, how true is that? So when you, again, it goes back into what we were just saying. When you ask, believeth that you have received. If you cannot receive in faith, how can you ask in faith? Because when you are asking in faith, believing in faith that God hears you through faith. So, with that saying faith, why can't you receive it? If you believeth, then you should be able to receive it. All right, guys, look for today's thought for the day, either above or below this video. Again, we are on our weekend schedule, so I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be doing something this evening, which you know me, I don't leave the group stagnant too long. So I probably will have something in there for you this evening. But again, we are on the weekend schedule. So, with that being said, have a great Friday. Don't forget to spend time with the Lord as you spend time with your family, because He is God the Father. He is the Father. So, when you incorporate family time, make sure to include your Father. All right. I love you in the Lord. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.